Hey everybody, you're welcome to my channel. My name is Coco and today I'm going to be showing you guys how I cut my princess dad bustiers, just like the one you're seeing on your screen. So if that's something you're interested in, please stay tuned. So first things first, we're going to make sure that our fabric is on fold. Always put your fabrics on fold, and with that we're going to put in all of our vertical measurements. I'm going to start by coming down from the fabric edge by 1 inch, and I'm going to impute all the vertical measurements. So that 1 inch line is now going to serve as my shoulder line. So from that point, I'm going to mark 11 inches as my bust point, 15 inches as my underbust, and 19 inches as my waist. So originally my waist is 18 inches, but I added 1 inch of allowance in case of shortage, and this is as a result of the bust and the roundness, because when you're cutting a princess dart like this, the bust tends to lift up the fabric up, and this results in shortage. So to combat it and to make sure that we don't bother about adding fabrics later at the end when sewing, you just add extra 1 or 1.5 inches to your length. Then when you are finally done sewing with the whole fabric, you can cut off the excess when you get your exact waist length. Then step 1 is to put in your shoulder measurement. I'm going to put in my shoulder measurement. My shoulder measurement is 16 inches divided by 2. I will have 8 inches. So I'm putting the 8 inches mark there. All right. Then after that, we're going to impute our shoulder slant. And to get that, I'm going to come down from my shoulder by 1/2 inch. Here I was contemplating using between 1 or 1/2 inch, but I went with 1/2 inch. So whichever one that you choose, it's comfortable, either 1 or 1/2. Then I'm going to connect it to my shoulder line, giving us our shoulder slant. Yeah, it's going to give us our shoulder slant. Then from there, we'll move over to getting our armhole. Our armhole depth, you see the formula on your screen, is bust divided by 6 plus 2. My bust is 38 divided by 6 plus 2. I got 8 inches. So from that 1/2 inch we came down by, I'm going to impute 8 inches for my armhole depth. 8 inches for my armhole depth, and that is what I'm doing right here. So you just make your own measurements, do your figures, and impute your own exact measurement, guys. This is mine. Okay, now I'm just going to make a straight line to the end of my fabric. Always use your rulers. Make sure that your lines are straight. After that, I am going to connect it to the tip of my shoulder slant with a straight line. But I couldn't do that. What I did next was to measure my shoulder measurement again across from down upwards. As you can see, I'm just putting the 8 inches. This is just to give me a straight line. Everything has to be straight because your cutting determines how your entire design turns out. So I'm just going to connect the lines like so, just the way you're seeing me doing right now. I'm just going to connect it with a straight line like so. Yes, just like that. So guys, this is going to be a very detailed video. I don't want to rush or skip any parts, so bear with me and stick with me. Thank you. Basically, our bodice is ready. Next we'll go to our darts. We want to start plotting our armhole princess right now. Okay, we'll go to our darts, and there's a formula for it also. Your total bust divided by 4 minus 1.5. Mine is 38 divided by 4. I got 9.5 minus 1.5. I got 8. So that 8, I'm going to divide it into 2. You should know how you place your dart, right? So mine is 4 into 2 will give me 4. But I'm going to add 1/2 inch. Since we are cutting directly on our fabric, I'm going to impute 4.5. By the time we are done sewing, it will come back to 4. So you start by putting that 4.5 on your bust point line. You put 4.5 on your bust point line like so. 4.5 on your bust point line. You put that same 4.5 on your underbust line, and you put it again on your waistline. I'm taking this very slowly for the beginners in our midst. Princess dart doesn't have to be difficult, or it doesn't have to be one magic. Anybody can do it with patience and understanding, right? So I'm just going to rule a straight line downwards like so. My chalk was giving me problems, so you see me scribbling on my fabric. Okay, now we want to get our armhole point where we're going to connect to our bust point. We want to connect it now. So what we're going to do, we are going to divide our armhole depth by 2. Are you seeing it? That 8 inches we got earlier, we're going to divide it by 2, and 8 divided by 2, I got 4 inches. So I'm going to mark at that midpoint there 4 inches. So whichever length you got, divide it by 2 and mark the midpoint. Then you go in by half an inch. I'm going in by half an inch right now. Half an inch right now. Armhole depth divided by 2. Okay, all right. So I'm going to connect it like so to the tip of our shoulder, to the tip of our shoulders, just like that. Then I'm going to connect it again. There's a lot of connections, but that's what makes it all beautiful. I wanted to connect it with a curved ruler, but I decided that not everybody might have this curved ruler, right? I just want to show you that you can do it with straight rulers. Okay, so I'm going to connect it now from that mid armhole point to our bust point with a straight line, just like that. With a straight line, just like that. Just like so. I'm going to connect it just like that. Yes, so automatically the mid part of our dress or of our blouse is done. Please, at every bend or every corner, just make sure you make it curved a little bit. Okay, don't leave it sharp like a sharp V, just curve it a little bit. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do, we want to start our underbust tightening, our underbust contouring, and the formula will be on your screen right now. To get it, a lot of people complain, what will I use for this side? So I don't want to give you a random number, use 2, use 1, no. So let me give you this formula. It's bust round divided by, bust round minus your underbust round divided by 2. So my bust is 38. My underbust is 32. 38 divided by 32, it will give us 6 inches. 6 inches divided by 2 will give us 3 inches. So is that 3 inches you are going to share to get your dart intake? Is that 3 inches you will share to get whatever you will use for your underbust contouring? So the trick is, at the middle part, you put in lesser amount, while at the side where we'll have the curve and the cup, you put in the large amount. So now you see that I'm going to share it into 2. I'm not going to share it equally. And on the mid part, I'm going to put in 1 inch. I'm just going to use 1 inch, and the other 2 inches, I'm going to put it at the side. The other 2 inches, I'm going to put it at the side. So I'm marking 1 inch on my underbust. 1 inch on my underbust. Then that 1 inch, I'm going to mark it again at my waistline. As you can see, 1 inch on my underbust line, 1 inch on my waistline. We still have 2 left. That 2 is what we're going to put on the other side. Okay, make sure, because we don't want the mid parts to be too small. Okay, so we're going to connect it now with our ruler into a straight line. We're going to connect it now with a straight line. Always keep your ruler close. Okay, now we are going to connect this back to our bust point, just like this. I know you must have seen something like this before, so I'm just going to connect it like so with a straight line. Sometimes this part might be curved, but I prefer it straight because it sits well on the body. Okay, it sits well on the body. All right, so we are almost getting there, almost getting there. I'm just making sure that the lines are clear and visible for you to see. So please, if there's any part that is not too clear, bear with me guys, I'm sorry. So just make sure every point is not too sharp. All right, now the mid part is complete. The mid part is done. Now we're moving to the sides. So the other 2 inches that is left from our answer, we're going to impute it on the side. So we have 2 inches here on the underbust, then 2 inches on the waistline. 2 inches on the underbust and 2 inches on the waistline. Then we're going to put that into a straight line. We're going to connect the underbust and the waistline. We're going to put it into a straight line like so. So now it's time to get our bust curve, but first we need to take care of gaping on the armhole, and we also need to tighten the armhole. You see the 2 inches that you put on your underbust at the side, you are going to come down by that same 2 inches on your mid armhole. You are going to come down by 2 inches on your mid armhole. All right, so 2 inches, this is going to take care of gaping, and also whatever amount you took in at the side, also make sure it's the same thing that you came down by, okay? Whatever amount you put in at the side, also come down by that same amount. This is going to create balance. This will create good balance for your pattern. It's going to allow the bust and the cup to rest well on your body or on your client's body. All right, so now we want to connect the underbust back to the bust point and then to the armhole. Just pick any curve. You can use your hand. Just pick any curve. It doesn't have to be expensive or anything. Just pick any curve and just curve it like so. Yes, just curve it like so. Just look at the way I'm doing it. Just curve it like so. Yes, guys. You can see now that our pattern is taking shape, okay? Our pattern is taking shape right now. It's all coming together. Using this formula, you are good to go for any size at all. You don't have to guess. You don't have to guess, okay? Now, we want to connect it now to our armhole. That's the 2 inches we came down by. This 2 inches has taken care of gaping and has also helped us tighten the armhole for nice fit. Just connect with a straight line like so. Yes, guys, just like that. As you can see, it's all coming together. Okay, make sure that you take care of every sharp point. Curve where it needs to be curved, not too curved, but just make it round. All right, just make it round. Okay, now we need to come out of that armhole. We need to raise it up by 2 inches again. Okay, this is to avoid shortage on our armhole when we sew it. So now we're going to go up. Just look at the point. We're going to go up. Remember, you came down by 2 inches. You are going to go up again by 2 inches, just like so, and you're going to connect it. Just go straight in the direction of where your ruler is taking you. Just go straight. Okay, this is going to make sure that when we sew, after cutting out that part, when we sew, our armhole will be complete. It's going to be aligned. Now we want to put in all of our horizontal measurements. Okay, we're going to be putting in our horizontal measurement. We'll start with our bust measurement. The bust will be on the armhole. The bust measurement will be on the armhole. My bust is 38. My bust is 38 divided by 4, 9.5. Remember that we are going to cut that part out, so we need to make up for it. Fashion is give and take. So I'm going to measure whatever I have there and put it back. Put it back. then I'll put in my 2 inches sewing allowance. You can use any amount of allowance you are comfortable with. All right, we are not taking anything on our bust point. We'll go to our underbust. Underbust is 32 inches. 32, that is divided by 4 will give us 8 inches. Okay, 32 will give us 8 inches. 8 inches. We are going to measure that intake. Always replace whatever you cut out. We have 3 inches there. Do this before we add our sewing allowance of 2 inches. All right, we are going to do the same thing on our waistline. My waist is 33 inches, which is divided by 4 will have 8.25. We have 8.25. Okay, 8. So now we are going to measure whatever we took out again on the waistline. We are going to put it back before adding our sewing allowance. Okay, before adding our sewing allowance. So we are almost done. Almost done. All right, now we need to connect the armhole curve, right? You see that point, we came down by 2 inches, then we went up again by 2 inches. So from that point that we went up by, you just connect it like so with a curve. You don't need much, guys. Just connect it like so with a curve and you are good to go. Like so, and you are good to go. You can see how it looks like. Look at it now. You are good to go. So then we'll connect our measurement on the sides, waist to on the bust to the armhole. You can see that I came out a little on the armhole, because if we had gone in, it would give us a funny shape, though it's the body measurement, but it doesn't matter. When we are done sewing, we are still going to fit it and it will come back. Okay, so just see, I think we came out on the armhole by an extra 1 inch, which is not bad. It's better to be more than enough than for us to have shortage. Okay, all right, now we can cut out. It's time to cut. Our bodice is ready. Our princess armhole is ready, guys. Anybody can do this. So let's cut now. Just cut out carefully, like so. Cut it out carefully, just like that. Okay, guys, you're seeing what we're doing. Okay, cutting your armhole, then your sides, and then you're going to cut out your darts on the bust area. See the way I did my scissors? So guys, this is it. Now we'll go to the back. This is the back. All right, I came down again by 1/2 inch from the edge of my fabric to serve as my shoulder line. Then the length is 19 inches. Like I told you, when we're done sewing, we'll cut it out. Okay, and I went in by 1.5 inches for my zipper. Don't forget your zipper, please. I love people don't forget their zip, especially beginners, so please don't forget. It happens to everybody. So now I'm going to put in my shoulder measurement, 8 inches, 16 divided by 2, again 8 inches. From that 8 inches mark, I'm going to come down by 1/2 inch, just like the front. Okay, and I'm going to connect it back to my shoulder line. I'm going to connect it back to my shoulder line for our shoulder slant. And we're still going to come down again for our armhole depth. We're going to come down for our armhole depth, which is 8 inches, just like the front. The same thing, 8 inches. Then we're going to connect it back upwards to our shoulder slant. Remember how we did it in the front to get a straight line? I'm just going to mark my shoulder line across. mark it straight up to get a straight line. Then I'll connect just like so. I'm going to connect it just like so. Okay. All right. Just like that. Our armhole is coming out. So the back, you really don't need much. You really don't need much for the back. So if you need armhole princess that for the back also, I'll show you. And if you don't need, I'm still going to show you. So now I just want to come down to our underbust, shoulder to underbust. I just want to mark it out. For the back, we don't have bust there, so you don't need bust point. So I'm going to come down 15 inches. Okay, just like the front. Rule a straight line. Guys, if you master this thing, you can do it without pattern for any size. That's why I gave you this formula. Okay, so now we have the armhole, the underbust, and the waist. Now we want to put in our dart. You remember we used the formula to get our dart for the front, so we're still going to put that same amount we used for the front. We're going to put it for the back. We used 4.5 for the front. We're going to use 4.5 again for the back. Mark it on your waistline, mark it on your underbust line. To know where your dart will stop, come down from your shoulder by 11 inches. Some people use 7, some people use 11, so I prefer 11 is fine. You are then going to we're going to mark that same 4.5 on our dart endpoint, and we're just going to connect it with a straight line, just like so. I love using rulers, it makes everything easy. Okay, all right. Now we're going to put in our dart intake. So the back doesn't have bust. I'm just going to use 1 inch. That's, I will share it into two, half inch on both sides. You should know this. Then we're going to connect, you know that triangular shape that darts usually have. So we're going to connect it to that 11 inches we came down by from the shoulder in a triangular manner, just like that. Just going to roll it down. Okay, then you do same for the other side. And voila, our dart is ready for the back. Our dart is ready for the back. So if you don't need armhole princess dart, you are good to go. You are very good to go just like this. But if you want armhole princess dart, I'll show you. Okay, I'll show you. But it's not as complicated or as difficult as the front. Okay, so now to get your armhole for the back, you are just going to get the midpoint of your armhole depth, which is 4 inches. So this time we are not going in by anything. All right, just connect that midpoint, just connect it back to your bust point. You are seeing it now. Just connect it back to your bust point with a straight line like so. With a straight line like so. Connect it back to your bust point. So guys, if you have watched this video up to this point, please like my video, subscribe, and comment. I'm going to be giving you guys pattern drafting tutorials, freehand tutorials, anything. Okay, so now I just want to make sure that that place isn't too curvy. If it's too curvy, it's going to have puff when you're done sewing. So just straighten that line. I'm going to use a ruler to do that. So just straighten the line. You see this point and that point that I'm showing you now? Just use a ruler to straighten it. We don't need the curve at the back. There's no bust there, so we don't need it. So straighten your hand, use your ruler. Use your ruler to straighten it. It's as simple as that. So the next thing we are going to do now is we are going to, on that midpoint, we are going to go up by 1 inch. The reason for this is whenever you cut out, there's tendency for shortage. So we are like fortune tellers. We don't want anything to happen to us by surprise, okay? So we'll go up again by 1 inch and we're going to connect back to the arm hole. All right, you get it now. So we're going to connect back to avoid shortage. Now we are almost done. we want to start imputing all of our horizontal measurements. So we'll start with the bust, which is on the armhole line. There is no cutting at that area, so we're just going to put it straight. We have 9.5. Okay, we're going to put in 9.5 9.5 plus 2 inches sewing allowance. That's 38 divided by 4, 9.5 plus 2 inches sewing allowance. You know that we're going to cut off that part and we need to join it back. So we are going to add ½ inch for our joining back. We don't want to touch our allowance. Our allowance must be 2 for every side. Okay, it has to be equal. Then we'll go to the underbust. The underbust is 32. All right. 32 divided by 4 give us 8. Then you measure out whatever you have there. I got 0.6, a little over ½ inch. I'm going to put it back. Then I'll put in my 2 inches sewing allowance, and we'll do same for the waistline. Okay, the waistline is 33 inches. We are going to put in 33, that's 8.25 divided by 4, 8.25. That place is 1 inches. Whatever, we're going to take out 1 inch, and we're going to put in our 2 inches sewing allowance. And we are almost done. Almost done, guys. This is how you get your armhole princess for the back. Now I just want to connect with my ruler, waistline to on the bust, back to my bust line or my armhole. Okay, just like so, making sure it's clear for you to see. Now we're going to just connect that 1 inch that we came out by. We're going to connect it in the curve just the way we did for the front. Okay, just the way we did for the front, like so. Yes, we are good to go. Okay, we are done, and this is it. So basically, this is what your armhole for the back is. So guys, I didn't cut out the neck because for the neck you can do that after you are done sewing. So let's say for instance you don't want to put this armhole princess, that just sew your darts like that, just the way you sew your normal dart, and you are good. So for your neckline, when you are done sewing, after your padding and all of that, you can cut out your neck. The purpose of that is that it makes it relax more. And you see, when your neck will be having gaping, like it's too big, when you sew your bust dart or any bust dart at all, either shoulder, armhole, when you sew it first before cutting your neckline is going to relax very well. So that's why. And I believe that won't be a problem for you at this stage. So I'm just opening the zipper side, notching my zipper allowance. Please notch. This is the front and the back. Thank you for watching, guys. Please subscribe and like.